This is a fundamental issue of safety, and Americans must be able to trust that the cars they drive are safe. I'm sure you'll agree with that. Instead, millions of Americans have been driving cars with potentially deadly airbags. I represent, the area that I represent, of course, has an increased risk because of this defect. Has generally been in parts of the country with high humidity, and it's been stated. Florida has many residents that are transient. I know you know that too. Mr. Sadat, Mr. Shosky, and Mr. Westbrook, the question is for you. What measures are you taking to correctly identify customers whose vehicles have been in high humidity areas for prolonged periods? How are you contacting them? We'll start with Mr. Sadat.
First of all, in terms of region, what we have is we basically look at the latest registration, number one. We're also looking at snowbirds, you know, if a vehicle is transferred and brought to, you know, the region. And if there's in general, if there's a regional recall, we contact our customers outside of a region who had their vehicles in the region, or vice versa. So that's...
What about if somebody buys a used car? How would you address that?
We look at the latest registration.
Yeah.
And based on that, we'll get the information, we'll contact them.
Okay. Mr. Shosky.
Yes, thank you, Congressman. Thank you for asking that question. Florida has been the site of 17 of the incidents that involve Honda vehicles, by far the most of any state, and by far our biggest concern. In fact, there was an article, I think in late September, in one of the newspapers that inaccurately reported that Honda was asking dealers not to contact customers. They were misconstruing a message that we had sent to our dealers. In fact, what had happened at that very same time, sir, in the state of Florida, we had begun 93,000 calls, sent out 125,000 emails, and sent out 76,000 postcards. We believe the risk is highest in your state, and we are putting extra effort into locating customers in your state and having some success with that, sir.
Okay. Next, I'd like to hear from Mr. Westbrook.
We have maybe half of it covered. We have a way to track the car that was bought in Florida because it will be subject to the recall, and that's linked to the VIN via our database. We would, I do not have an answer to how we would have a way to track a car that maybe were bought in Michigan and spent the other half of the year in Florida, but I would like to get back on that.
Well, please work on that, and I'd like to hear from you.
I will.
Please. Okay. Again, for the entire panel, would you let a family member drive a car with a Takata airbag? I'd like for you to answer that. Would you let a family member drive a car with a Takata airbag?
If the car was subject to recall, I would advise that family member to get it in as soon as possible and get it fixed. If the car is not subject to a recall, yes, I would let my family member, I would drive a car with a Takata airbag.
I'd like to hear from the entire panel.
Yes, I do. I would drive the car with our airbag. Interpret.
Mr. Westbrook?
I would drive a BMW with the passenger recall in place.
If a family member lives in the higher risk area, I urge them to take the vehicle and actually, first of all, follow the instruction, the letters that we've sent to them, and they can operate it safely and take the vehicle. We'll try to take care of them.
Would you let them drive it after they went through that? Would you let them drive the, or in other words, would you allow them to drive it, or would you prefer that they drive it?
After the remedy is done, based on the information that Takata has indicated, you know, that they have addressed the root cause, yes. But
and you would trust Takata?
As I said before, we have retained the service of an independent engineering firm to give us more assurances, sir.
Okay. All right, next question. I know I don't have much time. Mr. Shimizu, Takata has known there were potentially issues with its airbags as far back as 2004. A decade has passed by, a full decade. Why hasn't your company been able to fix this life-threatening defect since then?
Congressman, every time we recognize the incident or issues, we immediately jump onto the problems and try to find the root cause of the issues. And as soon as we identify the root cause, we took care of we address the issues and we take care of the problems.
Yeah, but sir, I mean, it's been a full decade, 10 years.
Yeah, it's a series of
I don't think there's any excuse for not solving the problem.
It's every time we found problems and we immediately take actions. However, it's true that we have series of recalls and a different timing, and we have some different cause of the problems. So it's not same problems all the times.
Okay, thank you. I yield
Thank
back,
you.
Mr. Chairman.